this morning. As a reminder, you have Buzzword Bingo going, and we've got some really awesome swag out there, some nice water bottles, and also an XLab drink beverage holder that can double as a beer koozie. There you go. So there are only 2 of those. Right. So we're starting with Porsche this morning. It's going to be awesome. So we'll have them up in a second, but emceeing the session and handling the Q&A, we've got Nick Berente, who's professor of IT Analytics and Operations at Notre Dame, the University of Notre Dame. And then from Porsche, we have Jan Burchhardt. He's the Director of Digital Transformation there, and we have him here. So I will hand over to Jan and Nick to run the session, and thanks everyone. Welcome to day 2.
Hello, Jan. Welcome aboard. I'm Nick Berente. I'll be, emceeing with you. We really appreciate your time today. So what I'll do is I'll just turn it over to you, and at any point along the way, or when you're done, we'll open it up for some questions, and I'll start us off. But thank you for joining us.
Great. Nick, thanks a lot. And lovely to be here. Greetings to Cleveland in Ohio. As you can see, I am in Stuttgart in Germany right now. I'm sorry to not join you in person, but in this hybrid world, I do think we can get along quite well. As Lee and Nick just mentioned, my name is Jan. I work for Porsche, been there for 4 years. And basically, my job is to do things here. The first thing I do is I have a lovely team, or actually team of teams that implement digital products for our customers at Porsche. That gives me a lot of grounding and a big touch to the real world of our products, of our customers. The second role I have within Porsche is driving digital transformation. Just as the first thing, that also is a team effort. So whatever I will talk about today basically is just me giving you the messages and talking about it, but it is a team effort of many people from very different departments within Porsche, not only in Zuffenhausen, but also around the world, and that is all on collaboration, basically. Before we start into the actual content, and we talk about the Porsche strategy, we talk about digitalization, we talk about how we approach it and what the current results are, I think we need to connect to the actual conference title, Digital Futures. So let's see what Porsche thinks about the future and whether we're ready or not. The brand for those who follow their dreams. And the title for today is From Engineers to Programmers. But I guess that's not even the correct title, because it's rather on how we pursue our strategy and how we add on new skills, how we focus on digitalization to actually reach our goals. Today I will not talk about our iconic cars and products. I will really focus on the topic of digitalization, how we skill up, how we do reskill, and how we approach it, and give you some examples of results and outcomes. And I'm looking forward to also get your questions and the discussion going in the second half of our 1 hour we share today. You just saw the movie on the strategy, and that is in place for about 2 years now within Porsche. And we started out to come up with a new strategy by really looking at different scenarios. And that's just one sample. And you can see 3 different scenarios we talked about here. On the left side, you can see the world dividing into mega ecosystems for digital people, digital natives, everybody basically in the end. And actually, we weren't expecting to see it in reality that fast. The second scenario in the middle is focusing a lot on sustainability, on ecological topics. And again, when we're discussing that scenario and wind tunneling our alternatives for the future, we were not expecting to see climate change hit us as fast and as hard as we, for example, saw this year in the Americas, but also in Germany for first time after many, many years. The third scenario was looking at megacities. Maybe that does change as well as everything does. We are just predicting, we're just putting together smart people and coming up with scenarios. Currently, we do see megacities, but we also see nations rise again. Again, why do we do these scenarios? It is about challenging ourselves, challenging our product strategies, but also coming up with solutions for the next steps, for example, for digitalization. Bringing that to our realm, we are a car builder. We build lovely cars, most iconic cars. Hope some of you have one in the garage. That is a very impressive information as well. We have seen new brands, new car makers in the last years rise, also fall, that we haven't seen, or as many we haven't seen in decades before. So one thing we have understood at Porsche is that the world is changing, and not only changing with digital pure players, but also with car manufacturers. And that means we need to come up with a solution for more and more complex world in the future, which we can't predict. If you take that and you just look at the different scenarios, you look at what happened in our direct market, being a car manufacturer, building the most iconic sport car, we believe there's one thing we need to make sure. To handle complexity, it's all about focus. It's about focusing your energy, all the brains you have in your company, on the right spot. And we decided to focus on 2 very simple things. That's our customers, because their need, their wishes derive and define our products, our services. And the second thing, we focus on our employees. Employees are our main asset. Their skills, their ability to produce a car, to design a car, to build a digital product, to adapt to change, to adapt to new digital tools in their daily work, is our core driver for innovation, is our core driver to meet customer needs on the other side. So coming from that position, let me give you, now that we have the 2 focus areas, a little bit of background and what we have done so far, and then we'll go into the examples of results and skill management as well. Transformation is nothing new for Porsche. So basically, what you can see here on this slide, starting from the far left and going over to the right, is that we started to think about digitalization already 7 years ago. We made it a part of our strategy in 2015. We built basically a small startup, the Porsche Digital, that is now a pretty big member of our group, to start and implement in new fields. We did grow our digital product portfolio. 5 years ago, The first cars were out there. Telematics wasn't anything we just talked about, was just there. So the digital ecosystem for our customers did grow a lot. 4 years ago, we did found the Mission D. We had the perception that we needed to refocus our energies to again come to the core focus areas of what do our customers need and what, how, and when do we skill up our employees. And we put that together in the Mission D, which is the name for a large program which is across all the departments of Porsche and active still then. One of the first results of that program was to build up the so-called digital product organization. And at that time, I'll come to that later, we started to harmonize the way of working. We started to harmonize what kind of skills do we need, how do we deploy them, how do we start collaboration. So that basically is the real kickoff for the topics I will talk about today. And then the last 2 years, scaling to so-called digital teams, inventing and introducing lean portfolio management, and now growing the methodologies, the ways of working, the areas to focus on, onto even more scope of the company is what we're at right now. So as you can see, it has been a journey, and in only like 30 minutes plus discussion, we can't take it all, but I'll touch base on some of the topics you can see here already. If we see that development and now take it to the next step, to our overall company, I think we as Porsche have a very good head start to the whole discussion we all have in the industries right now. Back in the 80s, early 90s, we had a big transformation going on already. Back then, we chose the Toyota production system to really introduce lean manufacturing into our production sites. That was a big challenge back then. We didn't call it transformation. We just introduced a new production system. But basically, it is something in our DNA. If you look at our product lineup, in the middle you can just see the Taycan, which is in the market for 2 and a bit years now. That is another big transformation we experienced and we managed in the last years as well. So we think of digitalization as being nothing new to the organization. It's just a constant change, and we need to set the right focus points and put in the right measures to achieve our results. As you can see on the slide, I talked about the Toyota production system. For the digital transformation, as we call it within Porsche, we chose a framework to achieve business agility. I'll come to that later. I will not talk about the scaled agile framework today. It's not a session on that topic, but there is some content online if you're interested in how we approach that, if you want to do a deep dive into that as well. If you now zoom out again to our visions, we started with a movie and the small film, the brand for those who follow their dreams. That's a very broad vision actually if you first see it. But I think it goes well, and it's very clear if you then compare it to the visions we had before, because it focuses clearly on customer needs and comes from the rather ownership-oriented vision we had in the last decades before that, to a really vehicle-centered customer ecosystem we need to build up and we need to implement, and we have been working on in the last years already. So again, it's not only about cars anymore, even though our core competence is building cars, which are sporty and which are very good and which are iconic. It's about extending that experience to more and more parts of our customer's life to build up that ecosystem. If you now take a look at the overall strategy which was introduced in the film as well, I think one thing that really is special to mention here is that if you look at our strategy house, and I just copied the picture from our website, so it's what sees every single shareholder, it is what sees every single employee in our company. That's our house of strategy. Digitalization is one of our 6 pillars in our strategy. It's core to our corporate mission, to our corporate strategy. It's nothing like a small area we work on, but it's one essential part on level with customer focus, our product lineup, how to achieve sustainability, how to build up our organization, and how to achieve transformation and to support all the other cross functions to the left on the slide. I think that was a big step for the company to really anchor everything I will talk about into the strategic layout of our future. Moving in that now, and that will basically be our area of discussion for today. Yeah, that light blue little rectangle you saw called Digitally Enabled Company. We want to generate some certain output, but even more important, outcomes for our customer. So one is our products need to be as attractive as they are today. So offering attractive products, both hardware and software, is one of the things we need and we want to achieve and we will achieve. Therefore, we need to gain better customer understanding. As I said, that's one of our focus areas. Nevertheless, you also need to improve processes. You need to stay lean. You need to be focused also in the development processes, in running the business, and in your internal support functions. New business fields are very interesting. Every once in a while you do see new products. Some are very vehicle-centered, some are in other areas. Last and not least, we talk about a strengthened collaboration between all the employees in the company, but also a lot with partners, because partnering is one of the core enablers to really drive digitalization within Porsche. If we talk about output and outcome, the question might come to mind, how do you actually measure that? How does Porsche measure that actually? And that's a simple answer. Basically, we talk about just two KPIs on top of our digitalization strategy. That's best customer satisfaction and feature time to market. Now you might wonder, hey, why isn't it an employee-focused KPI? We do have more KPIs beneath the ones you can just see on the slide. But we said what is really relevant is what our customers get and how they see, perceive, use the products, and how they feedback us towards these products and experiences. The second thing we said is most important is that we can adapt to changing demand. We can react to that customer feedback. So we set the KPI to be time to market, and actually on features we need to maybe solve a pain of a customer or actually generate some gain and better experience for our customers. So those KPIs are the ones we measure, and everything we do in our organization will be challenged on how it will support the reach of these KPIs or the becoming better in that KPIs actually. Now let's dive into the strategy field in that little bluish box in our strategy house. We have 4 topics in there. One is on digital experience, open platforms, and strategy. Again, we focus on customer experiences. We know that we need partnering, and customers do live in many different digital ecosystems. That's why we added right away to the digital experience the open platform strategy, which is about partnering and integration. Second one is digital security and privacy. If you want to gain the trust in your products, security and privacy on how you handle data is a very special and very important asset of a company. That needs to be part of our strategy and actual measures behind it. AI and data science, including big data as well, is the third action field within our digitalization strategy. Data is the new oil, nothing you haven't heard in the last decade many times, I guess, which doesn't make it untrue. It is true. Data-based products, prediction in our vehicles, knowing how the car will behave in the next curve or the Nürburgring, that is something our customers can and do get from us. And all that is data-based. And for today, I will focus on the fourth, that's on the lower right corner of the slide, on the fourth part of our strategy, that's on digital skills and methods. Hopefully that does meet your expectation, because we do talk about skilling up and fueling up the organizations with new needed skills. So actually now I do start the deep dive in some of the samples I promised earlier on. Taking a look at that strategy field, skills and method. Again, what do you see in the middle? Red is our user. User meaning internal users. As I said, we do focus on our internal employees a lot, but also our customers using cars and digital experiences. Everything we do, all the measures we implement, support that being the number one goal: customer user experience and satisfaction. Competencies, local value creation, collaboration are topics that are needed to actually get better and gain strength in that areas to support user experiences. If we go local, because we're now talking across the ocean, actually, that is one thing we need to focus as well. So our company has a global footprint. Our products are being used on a global level. United States is one of our biggest markets, as is China. So building up skill to understand customer needs right there, reacting to change right there, is one of the core enablers from our strategic setup. The overall target is gaining business agility, on the right side of the slide here. And as I said before, being able to adopt change, to adapt to change within the organization with your products. Now I'll jump across some samples here, and then we can happily discuss afterwards if you have questions regarding the strategic part. But I think it's more about the actual outputs, outcomes. How we implement that now? Because I think that is what really makes a difference. Up to now, we just saw slides, PowerPoints, but that doesn't change anything. That does not drive a transformation. In the end, it is new formats. It's skilling up people. It's training. It's coming together. It's collaboration. And that is the samples I would like to give you now. First, let's talk about the competencies and skilling up and learning on how to react to change. Deciding on which skill is important. That could be in the car and the development of new features. That could be in utilizing, we just put it here in the middle, new partners like a cloud provider. That could be as simple as becoming more literate in the digital era. We have 30,000 employees, roughly, a little more. 2/3 of that build our lovely cars. Their workplace is changing every day. So staying on level, being digitally literate to utilize all these new tools and capabilities is one of the important parts. How do we now build up that skill we need? How do we find out that skill is needed as well? Is what I would like to show here. We had high demands for skilling up in the area, for example, on new methodologies, on collaboration, on how to find out about customer needs. We will not talk about all of these methods. You know them. Everybody's talking about them. I think what is different to some other companies I've talked to is we brought together all these different demands from employees, from partners, from our leadership teams, and built a digital academy for Porsche, where, in a difference compared to before, we don't offer a single training for, hey, now you are the best Terraform AWS engineer. Wow, now you are the best Gemba walker for customer-centric workshop formats. Nope, it is about building up skill in a row of trainings I'll come to in a bit. Important is we wanted to be innovative on the formats, how to learn. We wanted to really connect and work together with leading education providers. All Porsche employees are in focus, not just a certain special group within the company. And we need to be job specific. If you get educated, if you get skilled up, you need to use that skill the next day in your daily job. You need to be relevant with the content you provide. If you now take an example here, and I think I have two with me today, that is an example focusing on IT skills and software engineering skills. Yeah, coming from data architecture on the far left, IT architecture and big data and AI, for example, in the middle level here, looking actual development skills, so cloud computing, digital security I mentioned before. That is skills we made our core skills for the future and which are now being assembled to be trained, to be upskilled within our workforce. On the bottom part of the slide, you can see the different formats we offer. And that starts with formats for beginners and basically never ends, but on the right side of the slide, you can see expert level formats we build up. For example, we offer just simple coding camps or trainings as building blocks for certain topics. At the same time, we offer in strong collaboration with universities, for example, master classes or virtual nano degrees. And if you look on the far right side of the slide here, expert workshops where we actually connect our internal workforce, sometimes with partners, to really be the best in that certain skill we need to solve our internal problems. Bringing all that together, putting some financial behind it, offering that and discussing that in our discussions with our employees made us really leap forward in skill, made us focus on the right topics to really skill up our workforce. If you talk about skilling up, if you talk about changing the kind of job I have, I ask myself, what else does change? So while we do invest heavily into skilling up, we at the same time offering a very safe place to stay for our employees. So we standardized new job profiles, made them very transparent. We added them to our overall job profile we have at Porsche. And now you'll find right next to the guys who build cars or to the best salesman in Atlanta at the Porsche Center, you will find job profiles for data engineers. You will find job profiles in the red part here for digital business analysis. That is new skills. Why do we do that? Not just to have it transparent, but also to make clear you will have a career there. That's our future. Porsche does take care of you as our employees, and your career in that area, or maybe moving from left to right in that area, is wanted. It's nothing we just do because everybody does it, and it is a nice title page on some newspaper talking transformation and digitalization. This is about psychological safety a lot, and this was again a big lever we implemented to actually then generate movement in our workforce to accept the change. Let's move on to another topic of skilling up, of skills we need. That's methodology rather. Yeah, lean and agile. I did mention the Scaled Agile framework, which we chose to be our common language. Porsche Takt is one thing I'll talk about in a second. Digital tools we need in our daily work. Yeah, all these topics are necessary, and we need to strongly invest into that collaboration to really come to the best products. The belief behind that is a simple one, yet still very important. Only cross-functional teams, and that's not only on team level, but also on board level. Only cross-functional knowledge will lead to the best result and the best product or digital experiences. If we take a look at that, and again, that's some samples here now, we build up the digital product organization. You just saw how we invest into skilling up people. You just saw how we offer psychological safety. Now we are at the area where we actually create the place to work. It's a virtual organization where people from all the areas within Porsche collaborate to generate digital value add for our customers. Again, there's a couple core principles behind it. For example, product orientation in the teams, not only in team level, but also in the hierarchy. So we need to collaborate in cross-functional teams that are responsible for the actual product or digital solution we built. We defined, we decided, and we train one language for every single role, for every single person in that digital product organization. We have common routines, artifacts, deliverables while you work together, which we also train, which we explain to everybody. That was a big lever for us again, once we started to implement it, to connect all the dots leading to the best products. Focusing everybody in the digital product organization is then just as important as having agile and product-oriented teams. You need focus and right priorities. So one portfolio management process, we call that lean portfolio management, and also one view on the budgets was and is a big lever for the transformational work within our organization. Last but not least, you remember one of our 2 KPIs is time to market. We talk about role-based decision-making. Only and only if a team or a certain role is allowed to take a decision that does have impact on budget, on risk, on the product, you can speed up the overall organization. Important, none of these 4 principles of the digital product organization does work alone. So if you have many role-based decision makers, empowered teams in place, but don't have a clear budget and portfolio setting the target and the goals and taking care of alignment, that will end up in chaos. Yeah? So that goes together. Again, a big leap forward to train on that, to invest in that, to bring people in that role in that digital product organization. How does that look like? Some of you might ask that right now. And how do we actually get in touch with people besides focusing on products and doing a lot of trainings, talking about skill, the same language? We organize formats to get in touch. We talk about digitization at Porsche. We invite the teams to come together. And this sample I have here on the slide is one event we had during the COVID situation. Everybody was working from home. We needed to solve that problem. So basically that was a digital format. We met in a, not metaverse back then, yeah, in a 3D world. We brought the digital product organization team members together, presenting their results, talking about their skills, maybe of things they need to solve, yeah, creating some exchange between all the employees. If you just look at the numbers here, more than 2,000 cross-departmental registrations and visitors and discussions in that from more than 300 departments, you can only guess what size that transformation is and how many people we have interested in that organization and collaboration, focusing on customers and their own needs. Another format, and luckily that was just this summer, when we were able to come together again. And why do I show that? Because it's important to not just do a format once, tell everybody, now it's transformation time. Nope, it's about staying on it. It's about consistency. It's about staying on the core messages. It's about focusing on our employees and our core and most important topic, our customer needs. So the second format I have with me today, this summer, is a Digital Family Day. Everybody who works together to build digital products is in different departments. At Porsche, being in a certain department is your home location. That's fine, that's perfect. We said still, we need to work together closely, so we said that is our digital family. Inventing that, well, it's not a brand actually, but it's a claim to get people aboard, to be part of the family. And organizing formats now for that digital family has again given us a boost in collaboration and focus on the right topics. More than 1,400 people were in that format this time, just about 6 weeks ago, by the way. It was a hybrid format, so many people around the world just dialed in and listened to all the demos from the teams, to the updates from management, business context, for example, from our top leadership. We did product demos, and again, as with our customers, where we ask for our feedbacks, we asked our employees and got very good feedback. So that does tell me staying on this, staying consistent, conveying the message, adjusting to change, and then not just doing it once is one of the important parts as well. As you can already see in the last two slides, we do focus a lot on coming together, on collaboration, on people actually. And I think that is also now coming close to the touchdown here. It also is one of the core assets and the core learnings we have. Doing the transformational work, digitalization, building digital products is always a team sport. It's important to get everybody and all the skills you need, not only cross-functional teams, but also come together and share the experiences, learn together, and take the next step together. So everyone is important in the digital transformation. Cooperation, collaboration, training how to cooperate, training how to collaborate is one of the enablers behind it. In the end, to think digital and to work in agile and to add that in lean, agile fashions. The small pictures you can see here is again some products, but mostly it's about people coming together, collaborating. On the top right second picture, you can see, for example, our top leadership from IT and digital sales business departments. So this really is formats where we bring together hierarchies as well. Yeah? So if we say at Porsche we're a team, it's not only on team level, everybody's part of the team, no matter what department from, no matter what hierarchy level, only together you can achieve that change, become the best player in that field, and in the end, satisfy your customers' expectations. And to close, basically, I'm pretty happy that we have Oliver Blume with us today. Not in person, but at least that's a statement from him. He gave an interview on digitalization a couple months ago, and he also is a believer and also a supporter of everything you just saw. He says the digital transformation affects all of the areas in the company. And now we're talking Porsche, purely Porsche, even though Oliver is now also CEO of Volkswagen. It's affecting all areas in our business. That's why he is a strong believer that we need to enable our employees and really become drivers of the transformation as every single person in this company. With that, I hope you did get some triggers for questions and discussion. Thanks a lot for listening. And Nick, maybe you can help me in getting that discussion started.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jan. That was a wonderful presentation, and I think what you're doing is you're showing us how Porsche is dealing with this digital age, like so many industrial age organizations that were successful, one of the great brands of the great automotive brands. And really the automotive industry in many ways is the pinnacle of the industrial age kind of organizations. A lot of our manufacturing processes, comes out of the automotive industry. So I really appreciate that. I think the folks here understand that if you have a question, we have a couple of microphones back there, so just kind of line up and I'll call on you, and then when you ask your question, please just state your name, maybe the organization you're from, and then ask your question. But since I'm up here, Jan, I'd like to start us off because I think I could fill the next half hour with my questions, but I won't do that. What I'll do is ask you just a couple. And I'll start with towards the end there. And I think the strategy is great. There are a couple of things that I've heard you say in the sense of, hardware becoming software, engineers to developers, this idea of a movement from physical to digital. And at the end, you listed some specific tactics you follow. These cross-functional teams, and they need the same cadence. That struck me. Same language, one budget. From what I understand of the physical manufacturing process, it's capitally intensive. So we'll start with budget and time, I guess budget and time together. Physical, internal combustion engine is capitally intensive. You need to set up a line, you need to design it in front, you need ahead of time, you need to freeze the design, and then you need to manufacture it over the course of years. Whereas digital, the budget is fluid, right? It's continuous. You're continuously doing updates. It's not capitally intensive. How can you reconcile those two? And it's continuous delivery, right, of agile software. How can you reconcile that continuity, that continuous nature of digital with kind of just-in-time budgeting, if you will, with this capitally intensive upfront? I mean, to me, that's impossible. And organizations I've dealt with to synchronize the cadence of physical manufacturing and digital and the budgets of physical manufacturing with digital. Do you have some guidance around those two things in particular for us?
Yeah. I love that question, Nick. Thanks a lot. And that'd be another, not even half an hour, but 2.5 hour talk to really dive deep into that. Maybe let's start with a learning, actually, because Porsche is a pretty successful company, as you know. Yeah, the IPO was kind of successful just about a week ago. And we have learned and we've done our homework. And we know if you want to invest something, you need to really plan up front. You make it the perfect investment to be most efficient and really hit the market with the best product. We've learned that in the last decades. So one learning now is, we need to unlearn that. We need to really unlearn that style of planning. And we need to rather invest into, as you call it, fluid budgets. Yeah? You need to rather invest in the capability to build digital products. And the capability of building digital products is not the construction line anymore. It's not something you put in a manufacturing hall. So it's not an investment you make for the next decade or maybe even 30 years. It's something you need to build up. It takes a year, maybe 2. It's skill, it's people, it's technical abilities. It's how to utilize the cloud, how to understand customer needs, how to come up with the perfect UI and UX for your customers. That's skill. But the rest is fluid. So unlearning the way we have planned budget and relearning how to plan for digital and implementing processes there was a big something for us. It's now in place, as I said, yeah? And how do you now bring the worlds together? Because as you all know, we still and we will build these iconic, lovely cars. You can just see here at the back of the Taycan, yeah, in the future as well. And you'll probably all love them because they're going to be awesome. Also, the next ones that are coming. You need to connect these two worlds. And first of all, there is a myth in agile software. Agilists don't like milestones. They all work on stuff which they don't talk about. Sometimes it's done, sometimes it's not. You need to get rid of that myth. Yeah, it's a myth. So we do accept milestones. We do commit to deliver towards milestones, because in the end, some software does get deployed at the production line into the car before it's handed over to the customers. On the exact specification, how the internals of that software are organized, we don't talk about anymore. We talk about the black box, on the behavior. You need to standardize on the behavior of software pieces, and then start to integrate those pieces of software with a standardized behavior. That gives you a lot of freedom in your teams, in your organization, with that fluid budget to actually solve the problem of today and tomorrow, instead of building stuff that might hit the market in 10 years, but the market has moved another decade. Yeah, so that's a quick answer to many questions you just rose. Hope that gives a small impression of what has happened in Porsche in the last couple of years. We built up that capability, basically.
Well, thanks, Jan. I think we have I'm going to come back. I have another couple of questions, but we have a couple of folks standing here, so why don't we get their questions?
So great conversation. This is fantastic learning. Well, much more than I expected to learn. So thank you for sharing. So Steve Moskowitz from Integris. Just to follow on what you just said, one of the things that I was listening as you were talking, when you went back to your KPIs, you talked about that customer satisfaction as a key KPI, and it all feeds into that. So as you think about your digital products, do you view your digital products as an end goal, or is really your digital products help enable your physical products, and it's an integration of digital and physical, which is really the goal. And so how do you kind of approach that to say you have these digital product teams, you have your physical teams, and is that goal really that integrated view, or are they really separate worlds that you go forward with?
Well, I cannot reveal the whole product lineup of our future, yeah. So let me skip that part of the question. But let's take a look on how we manage it today. And as you can, or did see in the slides, yeah, we do talk about it and how we work on that. So basically, we have physical products that are not physical anymore. Yeah, so that leads to the quick and simple answer: you can't separate that anymore. Yeah, digital experience is in the car. The car itself is hardware, so we need to align and integrate. That's for sure. Yeah, so that's that part. And it's rather on, again, building the capability to integrate digital experiences in the car. They actually support driving, but also if you take a simple one like infotainment, navigation, yeah, and make that available there, but also outside of the car, at whatever place our customers need it. Currently, our core is to really focus on enabling and building a customer-oriented ecosystem around the car. What's to come, we'll see. Yeah, future will show. You saw the scenarios. Let's see where Porsche is striving for in the future. But that is the current setup. And if we talk about the digital product organization I just introduced to you, we talk, for example, about the same cadence to do planning and delivery. That is for both software in the car and out of the car, and the pieces that are in the middle of it.
All right. We have another question or comment?
Hi, Cindy Palizzi, pronouns she, her, from GE Aerospace. I appreciate you sharing the digital journey that Porsche has been on. And I was wondering if you could share some of the headwinds that you faced during the deployment of this strategy, and maybe some best practices that we could leverage associated with that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Cindy. So headwinds or challenges. It's not all that easy, right, Jan? You can't just push a button.
Absolutely true. So headwinds are always there. That is what makes my job a fun job every single day. Yeah. If you didn't have problems to solve, you couldn't come to better solutions than yet yesterday. So I think it's not about complaining, it's about taking these and really using the power and putting them into the different direction. One of our success levers I can mention is involving all of the hierarchy levels. I had that in the presentation as well. They are really connecting strategic thinkers on board level and their expectation, and letting the clarity come into the room when the team is there. So really having people discussion on what is our focus, and maybe taking out a lot of these usual habits where you put challenges on slides, in emails, and discuss them via committees alongside of a month, the next month, and the next month. Yeah. It's a lot about connecting people, yeah, and that across the hierarchy. That would be one thing I can really talk about. And the headwind behind it, or the challenge behind it, we did have, yeah. So we weren't aligned with all the top leadership. We weren't aligned with all the delivery units we had, yeah. So we learned that the hard way, yeah, because we didn't make to integrate some software back in the past, yeah. That's one thing. The next one is, we started out, and I'll go back a couple of years now, with inventing our own methodology, inventing our own language. We knew we could do that because we have our own production and we have our own product development process in place. Very successful. So we said, hey, let's do it again. Let's come up with a new process, world, and methodologies and collaboration formats for digitizing. We recognized after a year only, that takes a lot of time, a lot of budget, a lot of capacity. And that doesn't build up new capabilities to build digital solutions. So standardizing and moving to the market and refocusing yourself on, hey, I'm a car manufacturer. Even though I'm responsible for digital transformation, I don't invent methodology for digital transformation. I do the transformation work. And for example, in the case of building digital products, I use Scaled Agile Framework. I don't need to love it. I don't need to hate it. I use it because it's good. It's bulletproof. It's there. Yeah, if you need to adapt it, adapt it. But stop inventing your own stuff was another big learning we had. And the challenge was getting people into the same direction. Yeah, language, Porsche tact, cadence, all these things come from a common collaboration model. Last and not least, budgeting. I had that already. If you don't have your budget in a clear responsibility, if you don't unlearn and relearn how to budget stuff, then you're doomed.
Whoa. All right. Well, thanks. I think we have another.
Yes, Laetitia Castle at Avery Dennison. I was very interested to see how your vision evolved over the last 20 years. How difficult was it to formulate a vision that did not specifically talk about the vehicle itself, right? So it's a big evolution, and I think that really opens up capabilities and the thinking of the teams. And I was wondering how difficult it was to get there after so many years of referring to the vehicle itself.
Yeah, a great question again. And you're hitting all these interesting parts, yeah, we have been experiencing here. Right after the vision part, I did show you the timeline, and we started out in 2015-ish, and the discussion started out earlier even, yeah. So it's not a process of coming up with a vision in a week or two. It is about learning. It's about, as I said, unlearning and relearning. It's about trying out things. Porsche, even though we are such a big brand and we are known worldwide, we did try out products. We did take them off the market again. Yeah, so that happened. And we were brave enough to do so. So there is some trial, maybe some error as well. It's a lot about learning, and it's not something you can expect to happen in a week. The last strategy work we did was a roughly process maybe of 6 months to a year or so. Yeah? Really updating, coming from the different scenarios to the strategy itself, to all the tactics, as you call them, Nick, behind the strategy to implement and move towards the goal. And that is some time we do like to invest. So if Porsche starts to change things or implement something, we do invest into the planning. We do take care of really reaching that result. Yeah, so that's important for us. That's why everybody's also fine with spending that time and effort to come to these common goals, or in this case, vision.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah. So we're running up on time, so let's do one more question, and then I would like to reserve the right to kind of ask the final question, and then we'll wrap up. But maybe one more from the audience?
Sure. So, Jan, it's Catherine Broman. I'm at Queen's University in Canada, and I'm speaking to this audience at 2 o'clock today. So I wanted to foreshadow something, if you don't mind. And that's you talk about the product focus, and the examples that you gave were all customer-facing products. And I'm wondering if you're doing anything internally for your employee-facing services or capabilities to practice the same approach for creating internal improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's on me, actually. Sorry for that one. It's just easier to give examples that everybody can follow because it's in the market. You can see a product. The very same applies for all our corporate and enterprise areas of digital solutions, and the same methodology actually applies there. I just, in the very first slides in the timeline, showed that we're now entering the space of enterprise processes. So there's heavy investment and change in our production, for example. Yeah, there's a lot of material online as well on the digital production platform, which we are building up in the group, driven by Porsche, for example. If you look at our employee workplaces, they have changed a lot in the last 3 or 4 years to not only cope with the COVID situation, but to also cope with all the other changes we have at the same time. Yes, so answer is absolutely yes. Yeah, same powers, same focus on the employee and the use of digital products in that areas as well. And maybe let's add that one. Sorry, Nick. And that's not only about efficiency, as many always think and talk. It's a lot about employee centricity. It's about being a very good place to work. Because again, with Porsche, we do believe that our employees are in the middle of everything. It's our capital to generate change, better products, yeah, and meet the market needs.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of take my last question in that direction. Some of the more tech firms that I've worked with over the years, Jan, are starting to have this idea of their organization as a sort of two-sided market. Right? On the one side, you have customers. On the other side, you have employees because they need both. And they're treating both as partners and both as part of the organization. Right? So, for example, AWS, right, looks at its partners and its employees that it brings together for those, right? They would look at that as almost a two-sided market around the AWS platform. What you talked about, so, and whereas industrial age organizations kind of think our employees are who we have, and then customers are externals to the organization. So it's a bit of a shift. And the reason is because of what you started with, and a lot of the discussions here in this workshop is about, you know, we need these digital capabilities. We need these folks who come in and they can innovate with digital technologies. I imagine, and this is my question, I imagine throughout history, Porsche, if you're a mechanical engineer and Porsche said, we'll give you a job, they came falling in, they would rush to your organization. And you're a wonderful brand, so I imagine anyone comes and works at Porsche, except that you now have competition when you get to the digital age. There are these folks that you want to hire that do have some really remarkable other opportunities in digital technologies, right? And I guess hiring and retention are among not just training, but hiring and retention, these digital folks, is often a little bit trickier than maybe our traditional industrial age employees. And I guess, do you have a trick? Is there anything we're doing? Are you tending to just grow your digital employees more? Because the impression you gave is that you're growing them quite a bit. But growing them, hiring them, can you give us any advice to finish up on say, the make versus buy decision on employees and how you are attracting and retaining digital employees?
Yeah, it's, again, lovely question. Another talk of 45 minutes maybe, yeah, to explain to everybody how to just grow employees that have all the skills you need. Yeah, no, we don't grow them, but yes, we do invest a lot in our current workforce because we believe it's not about exchanging workforces and only just make and buy decisions. Yeah, so it is a lot about growing personnel you have into new roles in the new era. At the same time, we do race for talent with all the companies that are in the market that are not automotive. Yeah, you just mentioned one. AWS, for example, more others, and we are both in China, in the United States, and in Germany with our centers to do digital product engineering. Yeah? So we are in global situations where we race for talent. And it's not about giving away free Porsches, that's for sure. Yeah? It is about bringing together the market with your products, your engineering, and how you approach it. It is about offering open exchange with partners and the company. It is a little about the product and being at the racetrack and getting into touch with your customers who use the product every single day and getting feedback on what you just built. Yeah? It is a lot about, as I said, the place to work. And in the end, how you can achieve what you dream for. And if I, maybe to close off the session, come back to the actual vision statement, yeah, the ones who follow their dreams. It is about giving the space to our employees to really fulfill their dreams. Yeah? Work for that brand, build brilliant tech, yeah, that automatically runs and handles all the incidents we have used to have on-prem. Yeah? So maybe there it comes together really, and we haven't found the final formula for that. So Nick, if you have that, we'll just stay online afterwards and you
yeah.
So we can take the next step forward here in Zuffenhausen and in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I thought you'd have the answer, but thank you. You had a lot of answers, and this was wonderful. Thank you, Jan.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. You have a great conference day.
Take care. So, Lee, I guess, are you helping us figure out what's next?
Much to Jan, and thanks so much to Nick for facilitating. We have a small change to our agenda. So unfortunately, Marco Costa is unwell and unable to participate today. He's okay, don't worry. But we have the awesome IRI digitalization community leadership team who has agreed to step in and do a panel discussion on change management and general change processes. So you're not missing out on exciting content, and you get to hear from some of your peers. So they're going to be bringing up some mics. So we'll just take 5 minutes to get them all up here and get everything sorted, and you can grab a coffee, but please don't take a full break because we do have lots to cover.